Okay, so here we are again. Thought I'd do a 7 loop flat slentra tutorial this time. I've moved my clamp a little bit because I kind of wanted that bit of white paper to be there for all to see. Just adjusting a bit. So 7 loops. Okay. So what we've got 7 strands here. Again, this is our lovely 24 gauge. Once again, it's never going to be used for a coil. This thing produces some massive braids. That's never going to fit in an RDA. But for the sake of a tutorial that you can see, I thought we'd do it like this. So I'm going to fold this in half. This is all 7 strands. Getting folded in half now, like so. This is going to be a very short braid, but again I'm just showing you how it's done rather than actually producing anything that's going to be workable. So I'm just going to twist that a little bit so I can get it in my clamp. Bear with me. Yeah, so this is like my first ever attempt at doing any kind of tutorial. I should probably do a better tutorial with actual edits and stuff so you don't get all of this in-betweeny bollocks, but I'll be honest, I work hard as a day job and I can't really be arsed. I'm quite happy to just, if this shows you and it's helpful, then I don't really need all the fancy editing and soundtrack and screen wipes and all this bullshit. So yeah, hopefully you can see what I'm doing. So basically, let's move this out slightly. Cool. Okay. So we've got 7 loops here. I'm going to have 4 on one hand, and I'm going to have 3 on the other. 1, 2, 3, 4. And in the other video that I just did, the 5 loop one, this is pretty much exactly the same pattern, except with 7 loops. But rather than just say that in my previous video, I thought I'd actually do a demo for you so that you could see it is pretty much the same pattern, but you know, when you're maneuvering 7 different loops, it can be a little tricky. So again, as I said in the 5 loop video, the first thing you're probably going to want to think about is this loop transfer thing that we're doing. So once you've done a pull through, stuff like that, you're going to need to learn to transfer your loops, all 3 of these loops, back to these 3 fingers so that your index finger or your operator is free again. So what you're going to do, your little finger is going to come in, take it off the ring finger, your ring finger is going to come over, take it off the middle finger is going to come over and take it off the index, and then your index is free. Woo! Okay, so let's begin. So as the same with the 5 loop, what we did in the 5 loop tutorial was we went over 2 strands, under 2 strands, and we caught this one here. Now all we're going to do in this one, the 7, is exactly the same thing, over 2, under 2, but this time we're going over 2 and we're actually catching this 4th, this little finger one. So just to show you again, and I'll refer to them as loops or strands. So this is a strand and this is a whole loop. Yeah, so I'm going over 1 loop, under 1 loop, and then I'm catching the last strand from my little finger, and I'm pulling that all the way through, all the way back, bosh, like this, and then tighten. Now as I said before, so now we've got these loops are occupying these 3 fingers, and I need my index finger to be my operator for the next pass. So I'm going to jump these over like this. Yeah? Now my latest post, I keep referring to my Instagram, I know I am kind of plugging it a little bit, but hey, why not? My latest post on Instagram was a 7 loop flat braid, the same as this, except I'd doubled up all of my loops. So it was a broad, flat, lovely braid. It's actually probably the most successful post I've ever done on Instagram. just to blow my own trumpet a little bit, I got over 400 likes on that post. That's the most amount of likes I've ever got on any post, and I've been posting for about a year. I got reshared by Instavapors, who've got 300,000 members. It was a bloody successful post. It got 1,000 likes on Instavapors as well, so lovely jubbly. Anyway, enough about that. Yeah. So what I did, I went over the first two, under the second two, over the third two strands, and caught the last one here and pulled it through. Whoop, bosh. So again, jumping the loops over onto my other fingers to free up my operator. Over two strands, under two strands, over two strands, catch the last strand and pull it through. Tighten that up. I'm just going to speed up quickly. I'll run this through again before I finish, but I'll just speed it up so we get a bit of a pattern going. So over two, under two, over two, catch the last one. And as I said in my 5-loop video as well, if you use your index finger and your thumb, I quite often do this. That just ensures that you're definitely going to be grabbing that last strand. Sometimes I find I put my index over, I try and grab that last strand, I get caught up on the previous loop, it all gets a bit tangled, I get a bit frustrated. So just as a way of making it easier on myself, I tend to chuck my thumb through there as well. Just make sure I've really got a good grip on that before I pull it through. So our pattern's starting to take form now. Over two, under two, over two, catch that last strand and tighten, bosh. Over two, under two, over two, grab that last one. So a couple of people to shout out to who have also taken the time out of their busy lives to make tutorials, and big shout outs to them. I mean, anyone who takes the time to freely distribute knowledge they're a good person in my book. It does take effort to make these videos, and I don't think YouTubers and that get enough credit a lot of the time. It's just kind of assumed that if you've done something that you're going to make a video on it, and people can be a little bit rude. Oh, tutorial now, you know, I want to see a tutorial, and people don't get enough credit. So a couple of people to definitely shout out to. One who, although he did his tutorials in German, his tutorials are so clear it doesn't matter that they're in German, and that's Teddy Dampft. His braid tutorials are fantastic. I mean, his centipede braidiator was brilliant. He's done other braids, other braid tutorial videos, and they're so clear I don't even need to be able to understand. I don't understand German. I don't need to understand German. His tutorials are so clear that I've worked from those with no trouble at all. So big shout out to Teddy Dampft. And the other one is a lady called Loop Braider. She's got nothing to do with vaping whatsoever. She actually makes kind of decorative braided bracelets, but she studies all sorts of 17th century and 15th century ancient tomes and takes the old braiding methods from those and does tutorial videos on those, and they are incredible. I've done one recently which was a 17th century 7-loop Spanish flat braid, and it's stunning. It's like probably the hardest, most complicated braid I've ever done, but it's stunning, and using her tutorial, which is in English, I was able to do that. So massive shout out, massive thank you to those guys. And of course shout out to the guys on Coil Wars, the guys on well, Squid Dude. He's done some fishtail braiding tutorials. They're brilliant as well. Just go and check them out. So there we go. We're getting a pretty nice pattern going now. I'm just going to explain what I'm doing again, just in case any of you missed it. So first I'm going to do the loop transfer. So my little finger takes off my ring takes off my middle takes off my index, and then my index or operator finger is free to go over the first two loops, under the second 2 loops, over the third, I'm saying 2 loops, I mean strands, over the third, and catch that last strand on your little finger and pull it through. So I think that will do without boring you too much. I'm going to let go and let you see this little braid that I've got going on here. Hopefully the Facebook focus function will actually work this time. Can we all see that? There we go. So you see the overlapping portions are all pairs because these are loops rather than single strands. And if you wanted to, you could, instead of cutting 7 strands and then folding them in half, you could cut 14 or even 28 or however many you wanted, and you can actually double them up, so double up the loops or triple up the loops. I've done a triple recently that was quite interesting, a centipede radiator. I'll post that on my Insta soon. Yeah, you can double up those loops. So if you're doing a 5 loop braid, you can cut 10 strands, fold them in half, do 2 loops on each finger, and the same with this. And that's how I achieved my my rather successful one, which was quite pretty. There you go. Hope that's been helpful. Yeah, I'm going to turn the old camera around and say my goodbye. Oh, fuck's sake, dropping it all over the place. Ooh, really sweaty. I thought I'd take this opportunity as well to show you my filthy build station. So I've been braiding so much lately, my drill has been left completely unattended. Got my Momo mat there, and it's a mess. There's my waste wire pot. You look how much wire's wasted in there. Jesus Christ. Got a few spools of wire here. It's 40 gauge, 35 gauge. What I actually do is, for my setup, rather than using sort of the swivel and other equipment that people have got, I've got this this setup that I use, that I've been using for a while, which actually works for me, is a spanner with a key ring on it, and then on the key ring is my swivels, and then that goes to my drill, which is actually a pretty crappy Bosch. Well, it's a good drill, but unfortunately the drill's got a fucking angle on it, which is really annoying, but never mind. Anyway, this was a tutorial about braids, so I just thought I'd share some other shit with you. So yeah, just quickly before I go, I'll just show you. So we got the 5 loop one here, hopefully it's clear, and the 7 loop one there. Again, hopefully it's been really helpful for you. Hopefully it was all clear, and any explanation, any further explanation you need, just give me a shout, give me a comment or a private message, or DM me on Instagram, lowre87. Thanks a lot, guys. See you later.